If you're a graffiti writer like me, you probably don't love the price tag attached to a lot of graffiti mops and markers, and especially spray paint these days, I find. But luckily, I got you, because today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best cheap graffiti supplies, mops, and markers to keep you guys out there having some fun, doing some tags, and not breaking the bank while we do that. So let's get right into it. And just to start off, I want to remind everyone that one of the best ways to save money comes from experimentation in graffiti. And what I mean by that is DIY. DIY graffiti supplies are sort of a lost art in themselves, and you can save a lot of money by developing a good mop or marker yourself. And you know what, you can have a lot of fun doing it as well. So just as a bit of an honorable mention, I just want to say DIY graffiti supplies can be some of the cheapest and best ways to create your tagging tools. And you know what, I'll give you some sort of DIY tips as we go through these top 5 as well, because some of it is interrelated. And with the top 5 markers, mops, graffiti tools that I'll be mentioning here today, I'm going to tell you 3 things about each of them. Number 1, I'll tell you exactly how cheap they are, and number 2, I'll link you to where you can get them if you want to pick them up. But number 3, and most importantly, I want to tell you guys what exactly each of them is good for. Because I didn't just put these cheap graffiti supplies on this list because they're cheap. I put them on this list because they're cheap and great for tags and whatnot. Number 1, I want to start off with a graffiti classic because this one has been around for forever. And like many other classics, it's been around forever because it's so good and it's such a good tool for graffiti writers, and we are talking about the whiteout pen. Now, partly this has been a staple in many graffiti tagging communities for so long because it's so cheap, but also this is exactly what graffiti writers want to have with them if they come across a railing, metal doorways, electrical boxes. This really is the bread and butter of any of those surfaces. Now, I have the OTR version of basically a basic metal tip whiteout style pen here, but honestly, my favorite is still to this day just the Bic whiteout pens. Even on graffiti sites themselves, you can get many different brands of this style of correction pen for $2 or thereabouts, but even the Bic whiteout correction pens are even cheaper than that. And frankly, I like this better in just about every way. I'll have a link to a bulk pack in the description here if you want to pick these up for yourself. You really can't go wrong with them, and it's one of the cheapest things on this list. And I'll tell you a little secret here, I don't think any graffiti company has made a correction pen better than these Bic ones here. The Bic ones have a super squeezable body. The squeezability allows for those nice thick lines and some drips on your tags that we all love to see. And not only is the whiteout itself good quality, fun, not well-known fact, these are refillable. I actually show you exactly how to refill these. I believe it was our Speed White correction pen fluid review there. I'll link it on screen in the corner and in the description if you want to check it out, because there is a little trick to refilling these that you might want to see. So again, I'll link a pack of these if you do want to pick them up for yourself. This, in my opinion, is always going to be a top class graffiti tagging tool. Number 2. Now this next one is the only one I actually went and scoured different graffiti sites for and compared prices. I felt like I should have something on this list that is just flat out one of the lowest prices, and it would feel wrong to not include the Pilot Supercolor Broad Chisel Tip Marker. Now, we're not talking about the ones that have a nib this size, we're talking about the ones that have an even thinner nib here, but the Pilot Supercolor markers there, they're less than $3, and it's literally a Pilot marker, so you know it's great quality, you know the ink in it is also great quality. And although the graffiti sites have them for about $3 a piece, I did go and find a pack of them where you can get them for $1.35 per marker. Again, you know where all the links are. I'm hooking you guys up with everything for this one just so you have the options. Number 3. Now for number 3, I'm going to throw you guys a bit of a curveball here, because this isn't something you're going to find on really many graffiti sites in particular, and that is actually a scribe tool. Now scribes have been used for a long time to etch into glass, metal, elevators, doorways, mirrors, all that kind of stuff. And a scribe tool itself is actually quite cheap. The cheapest ones I found were on Amazon, again, link below. But the real power isn't just necessarily in that the scribe tool itself is cheap, it's that you never need to refill a scribe. It's not like something else that runs on ink or paint. This thing is always going to be a sharp tool, and it has a near infinite capacity for doing tags. You see a lot of old school writers with these that still have that destruction over everything kind of mentality that was a lot more popular even just 20 years ago than it is today in the graffiti world, but it is one to consider. Number 4, it's hard to find something expensive that literally has the word hobo in it. You guys know what I'm talking about here. Hobo markers, mark all B's. There's many different brands of these solid paint sticks that you can get for less than $2 each. If you really wanted to try and make yourself something fancy, and this is where the DIY comes in a little bit, you can buy a pack of different colors of markers, split them in half, and make your multicolored solid paint streaks. That is a little bit easier said than done with specifically the solid paint sticks rather than solid streakers, just because the paint is so hard that these crumble really easily. But it's something if you do want to do that. Again, it's nice to have like a multi-color pack of these guys for that very reason. Solid paint sticks have been at the foundation of freight graffiti for a long time, many decades in fact, and they've been used just as long in the streets for graffiti tags as well. Number 5, and the final cheap graffiti supply that I want to introduce to you guys today is where we're really adding a bit of DIY to it, because this is the only one where I don't really recommend the physical product itself. That is the OTR 8001 here. Yes, I did just have to double check the number. It is 8001. Couldn't tell you why. But anyway, it is the metal tip paint marker by OTR. As you can see, these are minuscule, right? And you can pick up an empty version for a little under $3, I believe. It is sort of a whiteout style pen with a bit of a different body shape, which some people might find a little more comfortable, but we're not talking about this because it's another metal tip marker. We all know the superior Bic pen can't be trifled with by something like this. You may have noticed a lack of graffiti mops on this list, and that's really why we're talking about this guy here. Although you can find some off-brand mops for roughly around that $2 price point, especially if you buy them in sort of packs like that, it's hard to find a sort of cutty style mop this small around that price point. And guess what? With a little bit of DIY, this can be that mop for you. The video on screen right now is where we did a full tagging test with the OTR 8001, and we actually made this into a DIY cutting style mop and gave it a nice mop nib that actually had a sort of chisel effect on it as well. So we completely turned this into a super stealthy, tiny graffiti mop. You can see exactly how we did it by clicking the video on screen right now. Thank you as always to all the patrons in the Patreon crew, getting all the exclusive monthly graffiti content over there. Right now it's $3 a month, so take advantage of that while that's the case. I'll see you guys in that video. Peace.